Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Welcome in to On the Hunt tonight, where we are going on the hunt for Appalachian werewolves tonight. Mainly Appalachian werewolf families tonight. And we're also going to be talking about a shapeshifter report that I've just taken and much more, of course. I do want to talk about ancient Pygmy graves up in Tennessee. I'm going to be making a lot of connection of dots tonight with my guest tonight. We have Bruce Brown here in the studio with us tonight. You guys know Bruce. He has been on the show a couple times, more than a couple actually, and he is a wonderful wealth of knowledge and has a lot of experience with cryptids, and he is from Tennessee. We're going to be showing you guys some maps tonight and getting into some real historical werewolf families out of Kentucky tonight. And it's quite controversial, and I was actually warned not to ever talk about this a long time ago. And for whatever reason, I am just crazy enough to start talking about it tonight. Okay, so, oh man, don't shoot the messenger. Okay, whoever gets upset about this, it's all right. People need to know we're full disclosure over here on the Cryptid Huntress channel, and I have some werewolf friends. Okay, so as long as I've got those werewolf friends on my side, I'm good. All right, we're good. So y'all buckle up, buttercups. This is going to be one wild ride tonight. I can guarantee you that. And it's going to be loads of fun. And we're going to get into some topics we've not discussed here on the channel before. Okay, so if you guys want to check out all of my work and my social media links and everything, go over to my website. That is thecryptidhuntress.com. You can find all my shows there and my calendar of events. I do have a couple of events coming up. So if you guys want to come join me, come see me, okay? And I know in October we've got the Cornwallis Town Hall, the Bigfoot Town Hall down there in Alabama, and so y'all come see me at that. Of course, I do have a Patreon, and I have an Etsy shop as well. Just look up War Woman Goods and the Cryptid Hunters. All across the internet, you'll find me. Okay, y'all. Well, let's get to our show tonight, shall we? Tonight, we are on the hunt with Bruce Brown. We are discussing Appalachian werewolves and the historical werewolf families of Kentucky. We'll discuss recent reports that I just took one. I can't go full disclosure on that one yet, but we're going to talk about it. On a shapeshifter and some dogmen where I live. And we're going to take a deep dive into the enigmatic ancient North Cumberland Pygmy graveyards in Tennessee. It's not just one. There's a bunch of them. Bruce Brown is a former law enforcement officer from Tennessee who's had multiple intense dogman encounters. He has served as a patrolman, deputy sheriff, sergeant of patrols, detective, and chief of narcotics. His professional background exposed him to calls on Bigfoot and Dogman encounters, and he knows the protocols for how these cases were handled and potentially covered up, and how the military gets involved. Bruce first encountered Dogman while hunting, observing from a tree stand, and a couple of years later, he had an intense encounter while ginseng hunting and got a very detailed look at what he believes was a Dogman or a werewolf that eventually followed him home. After multiple other encounters with the creatures, he came face to face with a small injured Dogman pup, picking it up, giving it a thorough examination. You guys can find him over on the Cryptid Wrangler podcast. He is a co-host, our good buddy. I see Larry in the chat right now, and Daniel, Cryptid Hunter, or the Cryptid Huntress. That's me, Cryptid Wrangler podcast. And also, he is over on Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures on Facebook. Of course, I wore my prison jail orange for him tonight. I'm just kidding. I'm a huntress, y'all. Am I a hunter or did I come out of prison tonight? I don't know. in my orange. Please help me welcome to the show, Bruce Brown. Hey, Bruce.
Everybody. How are y'all doing?
Oh man, Bruce, I am doing excellent. I was joking around. I said, "Look, it looked like I came out of prison today, didn't I? This is my jail outfit."
You got your jumpsuit on.
I was going for the Huntress look, but then I realized, man, I was reading your bio, and I was like, man, I look like I just came out of jail, actually. Okay, so. But either way, we're here to have some fun tonight. Okay, so thank you for joining me.
Yeah, glad to be here, and thank you for having me.
Oh, we always have fun, don't we?
Yep.
We do. Well, Bruce, man, you've been busy. I've been seeing you all over the place, doing some fantastic interviews, and super proud of you for spreading the word. Yeah.
It's been a roller coaster.
It is. You probably needed the night off, didn't you? Dang it. Yeah, might as well throw another show on tonight.
There you go.
Oh man. Well, tonight I really wanted to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about a bunch of stuff, but one of the last times you came on the show, we kind of talked briefly about some werewolf families, a werewolf family out of the land between the lakes in Kentucky, and I wanted to get into that a little bit tonight with you, and pick your brain a little bit, because I've been having a lot of trouble finding information on that, but I know it's true. Okay, right. I've been told about that from multiple people. I was actually advised not to ever talk about it publicly. Okay, but I was told not to talk about the vampires, actually. Okay, from up there, but I don't know. They could be related, Bruce. What do you think?
Probably one of the same.
You think?
Good possibility.
Well, okay. Well, we got the land between the lakes up there. That's one of my favorite research spots. I got to meet you up that way a couple months ago, and it's one of my favorite research spots. It's actually known for the Dogman encounters out there. It's known for attacks, deathbed confessions from Tennessee and Kentucky fishing game, saying that they watched people get ripped to shreds by dogmen out there and stuff. Now, my theory is that they're not all dogmen. My theory is that they're probably werewolves. I don't know. Have you ever put some thought into all that? What do you think?
Yeah, I have. There's sometimes that I've seen stuff out there that didn't match a dogman that left me wondering if I was dealing with a werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
I had what I called laser eyes. It was completely different than most of the dogmen I dealt with. So yeah, that's you never know what you're dealing with. That's for sure.
No, you don't. You don't. Well, here's my take on it. There's a lot of dark energy out there. A lot of dark energy. A lot of, I'm going to say, rituals, backwoods cults, stuff like that. I believe that goes on there a good bit. And to me, that would signal that it might be more conjuring of werewolves and things like that. Now, I think there's even a government element to some of this. I dare I say, some kind of secret, maybe like, I hate to say secret government military stuff going on up there. But I don't know. Could just be dogmen, of course. Could be, but I think it's werewolves.
We've got several reports out of the LBL, which is a military bases there, that they talk about dogmen being super soldiers there. And that's just not the locals talking about. That's a former military that served there.
Well, okay, so one of the last times I was there, we were riding around late at night, and we had gone to one of the witches cemeteries out there. My friend calls it a witch cemetery, and we were not only did something get thrown in our truck while we were driving up there in the middle of the night, we started finding a bunch of these containers of water, and like it looked like kind of something like a Gatorade or Powerade, some kind of energy mix on top of them. some sort, let's just say there was some sort of military exercises that were being done out there, because they had placed these big water containers along the roads and stuff in some of the areas, and they were hidden. They were kind of hidden, but we noticed that. We got a good eye for this stuff, Bruce. And we were noticing that. And so actually, I think one of the guys got out of the truck just to go walk up and see what it was, there is, but in a lot of these national parks and stuff, and state parks too, there's a lot of military exercises going on out there that general public's probably not going to ever be aware of, I think.
Right. And a lot of people are under the assumption most of the time that when they see the military in these parks around these military bases, and they've had residents have eyewitness accounts of dogmen and Bigfoot, that most of the people think it's a kill team out to take them, but in reality, 99% of them are being safeguarded by the military. They don't want them dead.
They're assets,
Exactly.
That costs a lot of money. I just did a show on Thursday. We're talking about human super soldiers,
Right.
and we were actually getting into that movie. It's called Soldier with Kurt Russell in it, from the 1990s, I think 1998. And we're kind of looking into like the truth behind the soft disclosure in that movie. And I tell you what, according to that movie, which they do put the disclosure in our movies, okay, they're showing that there were children that were being raised from babies all the way into adulthood to be the ultimate soldiers, even getting shipped off planet and stuff. And if they're doing that to humans, and I think they're obviously, a lot of us do believe they're doing it with these dogmen and these werewolves and stuff. Whistleblowers have come out and said that they work for these dogman breeding programs and werewolf breeding programs and Bigfoot breeding programs.
Well, we just recently had I won't say his name, but he's a Washington D.C. politician come out, and it wasn't Burchett from Tennessee. It was another man that's directly over some of the budget to do with that talked about the white aliens were mostly in charge of the dogman experiments right now.
Really? You said a congressperson said that?
It's a little bit higher than a congressperson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dang, do they want to be interviewed on the Cryptid Huntress channel, you think?
No, that come out sort of secret, but they did disclose that the white aliens, the tall ones, were involved in that program.
Tall whites. The tall whites. We talk about them pretty often. When it comes down to that, Tim Burchett is actually, I applaud that man. I do. I might actually ask him to come on my show one day. He's out of Tennessee. I think it's East Tennessee. Am I right? Is it East Tennessee? It's his district. Is it? Tim Burchett, the Congress.
Oh yeah, Mr. Burchett. Yeah, yeah. He was here in Putnam County not just a few days ago.
Oh yeah. Well, he's really done a lot for talking about the ETs and the civilizations of aquatic ETs under the ocean, and
right.
It's shocking how much he's talked about, actually. But I thought it'd be interesting. I don't want to put him on the spot, but some of my research areas, I actually do research out at East Tennessee. I have before, and it'd be cool to get him on the show to talk about my experience, even with the Bigfoots out there and the other stuff, and maybe talk to him about that. See if he'd be open to it.
That's a good possibility. It's election year.
Hey, the Bigfoot community is growing too, Bruce.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think the people would like to hear what he had to say about Bigfoot. Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yes. And I can always help him come up with some legislation to protect the Bigfoots if he needs to. I'm good at that. That's what I used to do for a living. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, it's really interesting how I feel like we're kind of taking leaps and bounds with the disclosure on all this right now, but there's still some things that probably won't come out to the public for a while, and that includes the use of dogmen and werewolves with our government, I think. But nonetheless, it'll come out one day, Bruce. It'll come out one day.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's get into this. Let's get into the family. I always like to get to the core of stuff, and then I like to connect the dots. And being such a concentrated area of dogman attacks and dogman sightings, and in the trauma of that land, where all the people were run out of that area. They were all kicked off the land a long time ago, and but before they were kicked off that land, there's some deep-seated families down there, some generational families there, and one of them happened to be werewolves, they say. What can you tell us about that?
There was a family out of England that moved into the LBL in the late 1700s. They still may be ancestors left there today, and they come into town. You know, in the LBL was a big community. It was a city in there at one time. There's a lot of people lived there, and the graveyards prove that. With the 200, 300, 400 graveyards there, and this family that come in, the man would be the only one come in, and he had a wife and a house full of kids. I think it was 11 kids. And there's something about his eyes wasn't right, so they nicknamed him Wolf because his eyes looked like wolf. Of course, they did say that to his face because he just come in a couple times a year. Nobody's seen him. But people that live close to their farms would hear howls and stuff at night that nobody else was hearing. And then the people in the community eventually assumed that they was werewolves. They had a lighter skin color than most, and they had a wolf eyes. And so they nicknamed him Wolf, and then I think the next generation of them, the kids come up, and actually one or two of them had changed their last names to Wolf. So that's a little suspicious. When you go look it up now, I mean, 6 months ago, you could find all this stuff. If you looked it up, their family, you can't find it now. Since people started talking about it on social media, it's all disappeared. And the locals there around LBL get really upset if you talk about it much. A lot of them don't have a problem with it, but there is a few that does. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't talk about that specific family. They still believe that there's people believe that that family are actual werewolves and still run in that area.
I mean, what are the odds? What are the odds? You know, I stand by my statement. I do believe a lot of the encounters people have out there are probably werewolves. I don't know. I'm not going to say all of them, okay? But I think a lot of them are. What are the odds of that being from that generation of the wolf family out there?
Well, I mean, it's a pretty good chance because if you had people from the late 1700s through the 1800s into the early 1900s talk about that family, and it was carried on for generation to generation, then there is something to it. We don't know how much, but there's got to be something to it.
Well, I think so. And what are the odds that maybe like our government, I hate to say government, you know, it's all controversial bringing that up, but what are the odds of them before they kicked everybody out of that area? What are the odds of talking about it?
Yeah, well, you have to look at the fact Tennessee Valley Authority went in there and took everybody's land, homes, businesses. You know, it's a complete towns in there, big communities, cities, I would call it. And then they build a military base there. That's where you got to stop and think. Why did they build a military base there? It could have been built anywhere else but there.
Well, I think it has something to do with the land. Okay.
Exactly.
And, that is definitely coming up more and more with all these shows that we do and all the research that I'm doing. It's definitely, everything is connected to the land. It all is. So there's something that the ancients knew. Okay. And And I'll be darned if people out there don't believe our government is not fully aware of this stuff. People, let's call them the controllers, people in charge, people that have eminent domain. They know where these places of power are, and they know where the energy is higher, and maybe dare I say portals and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm not saying we're just now catching up with all this. Okay, I am, but yeah, it's to this day, it's just such a high concentration of high strangeness right there. So.
Yeah, when you get into areas like that and the way the people were taken off of their lands, you talk about generations worked that land. And when you go back in those days, I mean, that's all you had is what you had and could make off of your land. A lot of them were put out there with pennies on the dollar, and a lot of them left with nothing because they held out till they were forcibly removed, so they didn't get anything. So it's then you got the Native Americans there. There's a lot of things that could have been, I'll give you an example. I have a small farm. If the government come in and took that farm, I'd be like, whatever they do on that farm, I curse it. HELL with them. I'd be pissed. Just take it away from me that quick. Some of them just had days. Some of them had hours notice. So we would all be infuriated if our land and homes got took away from us instantly by eminent domain, or whatever you want to call it nowadays. I call it thieving, but that's just the way it is.
That's what it is. It is thieving. And I can just imagine myself. Look, if I've lived past lives, I'm sure I have. I bet you anything I've had to curse something before I died.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, what did I curse? Why am I back here this lifetime? When am I here to make it right? I don't know. What did I do? All right. What did people do to me? I probably had to curse stuff, and I'll come back and fix it. Okay. But who knows? I'm kidding y'all. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is kind of similar, but kind of not, because I remember back when I was 9 months pregnant, house shopping. Okay. I was married a long time ago. Okay. And me and my husband at the time were house shopping. And I remember going to a lot of houses to look at, and there would be writing on these houses on the walls and stuff on the inside where children were. It was really sad because you knew these houses had been like foreclosed on, and the children, the families who lived there were writing, "Why did you take my house from me?" like on the walls and stuff.
Right.
And all those houses, it just the energy there was so heartbreaking to me. And I here I am 9 months pregnant with my son, and I was like, we're not buying these houses. We're not going to get any of those houses. Where you could just feel the trauma of it when you walk in and stuff. And I know that's not the same, but it's very similar, in a kind of a way.
Yeah, I mean, you had on these farms, you had family plots, family cemeteries, generations, and then they would come in, and it was all taken away from the family just to be covered up with water or turned into a military base. And then when they realized they didn't need that much land, then they just turned it into a park. So it makes you wonder.
Yeah, it does. It does make you wonder. Okay, it does. And actually, as a matter of fact, we're going to get into in just a little bit. We're going to talk about some interesting graves of the Pygmy people. I know that I was wondering, is this even politically correct? We got to worry about being politically correct and stuff. But Pygmy is actually a term, y'all, for little people. It's like a civilization, and some people say it was just children in these graves, but I don't believe that. Okay, but that's up not too far from where we're talking about, just south of the land between the lakes, to the east.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But,
about 15 miles from me, where I'm sitting right now.
And it's right there by Whitleyville, where I did that investigation a while back. Yeah, It's all there. It's wild. Talk about things being on the land. Okay, and Larry has a great comment here. Thank you, Larry. He says, me and some friends were in a private chat talking about dogmen and how they're all over the U.S. And he mentioned there had been a breeding population, and somebody shut the chat down. Dang. I'm not shocked. Are you?
No, they've been breeding for years now. Yeah. I mean, I found a Dogman puppy. You know.
He did. You're one of the few people I know that's found a Dogman puppy. Actually, you know what I was listening to a podcast the other day. There was another, like a park ranger that had claimed to have found a Dogman pup. He called it a werewolf pup.
Right.
But so it's not that uncommon. You know, a lot of people get excited when they find a strayed puppy on the side of the road and they make a video and put it on TikTok. I would be excited if I found a Dogman puppy. I would make a video and put it on TikTok. Okay, just like I had found a little puppy.
Yeah. But after you deal with these cryptids so long, you no longer want to take their pictures or videos or anything. You're trying to protect them.
Oh, yeah. I think that protecting them is best for sure. And that's how it is with me, and definitely with Bigfoot and stuff. I mean, we don't take our phones out to the woods. I take my phone out there, but it's on airplane mode. Okay, the whole time I'm out there. Yeah, we don't. I'm not. Most of my teams that I'm on, like we don't make any of the stuff we do public like that.
Right.
Yeah. So, but anyways, okay. So getting back to the werewolves and the LBL, when I was saying that, like, I was advised not to talk about the vampires out there. They have something they call the Vampire Motel, I think, or there's Hotel California, and there's also the Vampire Motel. There have been, and that is actually traced back to real life vampire cults, though, if I'm not mistaken. Are you familiar with that?
I've heard the story, but the story I heard was it was around the 40s or 50s, somewhere in there. So I'm not familiar with any recent ones, but yeah.
Okay. Well, apparently there's more than just that kind of occult activity going on out there. And the reason I was advised not to talk about it is because of the Good Old Boy Network and stuff.
Right.
And when I say it's like deep rooted and stuff, like that's what I've been told. So I'm not going to get into it because I really don't know. I didn't ask questions about it. But it's just part of something we got to kind of be careful of talking about, I guess, a little bit. But I never really had made the connection between the vampires and the werewolves, maybe being from that same family they were talking about.
That's what I believe. I believe that's where that come from. Yes.
Okay.
Now there is one man that's on social media. I cannot think of his name. That gets highly upset when people talk about a vampire in the LBL. He's even made come on social media and been on the newspaper about it. So
why is he so upset about it?
Exactly. That's my question. Because I think the newspaper reporter and one of the podcasters that he talked to were like, a lot of people, they like this. They like to hear this. And he was like, no, we don't. We don't want to discuss it. It's forbidden. And so he wouldn't even give a good explanation why it shouldn't be talked about.
I was kind of the same thing.
Right. So that makes you tend to believe that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you want to hide something like that?
Yeah. Well, it is the age of disclosure at this point. But then again, I love my life. Okay. And I saw a video of this lady today. I think it was down in Africa. Okay. It was in another country. And she was showing how her lip had been bitten by a vampire. And it was wild because I had actually talked about this on the show before, where a friend of mine believed she'd been attacked by a vampire. She said, well, but I wasn't bit on the neck. I was bit on my lip. And I had never seen anyone else get bit on their lip. And then I saw that video today and I was like, man, that was like a real vampire had bitten her lip, just like my friend. And so I'm seeing vampires are very real. Okay, whether you want to believe it or not, vampires are real. Everything's real, I think, Bruce.
Well, I hope I never see one, but I believe it because of it's been passed down from generations by the old people. And they didn't call it vampire when they talked about it publicly. They called it the kissing bug.
The kissing bug.
The kissing bug, yeah. There'd be 2 holes through the bottom of the lip, and they called it the kissing bug. So everybody in the community knew about it then. Well, that's been bit by a vampire, but they wouldn't say vampire; they'd say kissing bug.
So it is on the lip. It is on the lip. I'll be. All right. Well, for a lot of people, that may be the first time people listening to this have ever heard that before.
Yeah.
Because we're all in the movies, we see they get bit on the neck.
Right. Well, that's the most romantic place to do it, to turn a woman on, bite her neck.
Them sexy vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not nearly as sexy getting your lip bit off.
No, that would hurt.
That's right. Okay. Well, you learn something new every time you watch the Cryptid Hunters channel, y'all. Okay. And so, all right. Well, we talk about a lot of active cover-ups when it comes to the Dogmen and werewolf stuff. And now, vampires too. There is a concerted effort to keep these things quiet, not talk about them, especially in, I don't know if LBL is like it is kind of a small town. It's out in the country. Okay. Yeah. And if all of these attacks have been happening over the course of these decades, at least the 1980s, there's obviously a concerted effort to cover it up because it hadn't gotten out other than by word of mouth, right?
Yeah, by locals, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's always by locals, and then your older people, as they got older, needed to tell somebody, then the story started coming out.
Well, okay, by the older folks, all right, and the North American Dogman Project did that. He did that documentary. We kind of joke around about it. I don't know if War Criminal's in the chat today, but Barton's in it. We met Barton. You met Barton at the distillery, and when they made that video, I think they called him Burton Nutley or something. It was so funny. We still laugh about that. He's in that documentary though. They just call him the wrong name. Okay, but that's a pretty good documentary when it comes to LBL and having eyewitness accounts from people who, there's a woman that had worked at the gas station up there and claimed that she'd seen the 2 police officers, I think, came in, and one of them was sick and throwing up, and they were talking about they had just worked that case of the family up there that had been mauled to death.
Right, and then plus the picture that he drew, I've seen, pretty much the exact same thing in Whitleyville. And we discussed this on your show.
Oh, yeah, you did. That's right. Kind of looked like a bat squatch.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Squatch.
I thought I was tracking a dog man, and then it got wings real quick and flew over me, and I knew then wasn't a dog man.
Do you think maybe that could have been even like, I wanted to talk about some shapeshifters tonight too. I just took a report out of where I live of a bona fide shapeshifter. Okay. And I kind of wondered about that too. Like after we've done a couple of shows together and I've had time to marinate on that. I'm wondering if that could have been some kind of a shapeshifter that you saw out there.
Very, very well could be. Your older people talking about animals shape-shifting. A deer changing into a squirrel or vice versa or whatever. You hear that quite a bit when you get into the deep mountain, Appalachia. You hear these stories and passed down stories. And some of it's Indian legend. There's caves that's with the stories written on the walls in lithograph. You can see them.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'll just bring this up briefly, okay? Because I did get contacted. I'm out of anonymity. Is that how you say it? I'm not going to talk about this too much, right? But I was contacted by a very nice person out of, let's just say, Northwest Georgia, and it's in an area where we have had a lot of werewolf attack, like a werewolf attack, and a lot of dogman encounters and werewolf encounters. the Northwest Georgia corridor up there, like Floyd County, Rome, even Dalton's kind of up there. There's been some Dogman sightings up there. Paulding County with the Paulding werewolves, and I took a report, and I'm going to go investigate. I haven't gone to investigate it yet, so I won't keep quiet about it mostly. But in addition to like Dogmen on this farm, there was a case of almost like a shapeshifter out there, where the person actually saw a deer, but then when they looked over at the deer, it turned into like a dog, and then it turned into a person. Okay, and it wasn't a normal person; it was a little person.
A Tonzi turned into a Tonzi.
A Tonzi. What is a Tonzi?
A Tonzi is a little bit smaller than a pygmy. A pygmy a pygmy was a word given by settlers in later generations into farming. Was used, and I think the Smithsonian used it too. But a Tonzi is a type of an Indian tribe that has DNA, Cherokee DNA in it.
Well, this area is deep in the heart of Cherokee and Creek history, I guess you could say. I'm going to say it was more Creek than Cherokee, but it's probably about I don't know. It's probably about the same. It's actually not too far from, like the McIntosh Reserve. I did a Bigfoot town hall out there, and Chief McIntosh was, I think he was half Scott and half Creek Indian. Okay, and it's not too far from there, but not give it away.
Back in those days, the Cherokee, the women married into the Shawnee and vice versa. And that kept wars down and peace because they had families, and they done a lot of that. So yeah, that could have been Cherokee, Creek, some type of interbreeding or DNA with Tonzis. Tonzis are mystical creatures that can disappear and appear in front of you. Are considered to be extremely mean, very territorial, somewhat a little bit worse than the pygmies were.
Okay, I'm looking it up online to see if I can find it. A Tonzi shapeshifter. Let's see. Okay, well, let me kind of explain just for a moment the way this thing was described. Okay, and I just want to. And I don't want to get too much into it until after I go and investigate, okay, and talk to this person. But it sounded like it was a small man with gray skin and very sharp features on his face. And he was 4 feet tall, about 4 feet tall. Now, I don't know. Now, the pygmies would be kind of small too, right? I mean,
pygmies are generally, they're not that big. They're 20 to 24 inches tall.
Okay. So they're pretty small.
Yeah.
Well, this thing looked like child size. Okay. Right. She said about 4 feet tall is what I was told.
There's I think it's in Indonesia, the Tonzis. They have 2003, 2008, they found Tonzis also in the country of Indonesia.
Okay. Let's see, Tonzi. I'm still looking for it. I can't find it. It's okay though. Okay. Well, I just find it fascinating that people are actually encountering these things. I mean, actually watching something shapeshift before their human eyes. Okay, that's not typical, Bruce, for people to see that, and I find it really interesting, going from looking like a deer to a dog to a man, and then there's even more to the story. I don't know if I should get into all this tonight, okay? But saying that it had actually it was interacting with like stuff that wasn't there, like a door, like opening a door and like walking in it and stuff, and there's no door there. Okay, like there's no door there, but there was a door there at that moment, and it was fully aware, and it was aware of this person. This person was aware of it. and
Under,
it was weird.
underworld activity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Underworld. Yeah, it sounded odd, but my team we've documented portals, sent people into them out in the field, and it actually looked like an apparition of a building. That's what it looked like. David Pardue has he's drawn out what he saw. We have a video of it, but he actually drew what he saw because he could see it better before they started videoing it with the FLIR or the thermal. And so it looked more like a building with a cross out in front of it, like a church or something. Okay, that's the way he described it. Almost like an apparition of a church or like a house or something, is the way he described that. And so it's just, I'm kind of making that connection in my mind. It's like maybe it was some kind of apparition with a portal. I don't know if that makes sense. A portal.
I wonder if it was dimensionally the same on all sides.
I was just told a door, but I'm going to go do this investigation here soon. Okay. And I'll keep everybody posted on that. Okay. But depending upon how much they want disclosed on all that, you know what I mean? Right. But it is interesting. And I was kind of thinking about that. And I wanted to ask you about it because I figured you might have some input before I go out there.
I'm a little unnerved by stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I can handle Dogman, Bigfoot, stuff like that. But when it comes to underworld activities such as doors like that don't exist, I'm not for sure. I wouldn't have a clue what I'm dealing with.
Well, that's kind of what I'm worried about too, because I'm thinking of like S-walkers, like a skinwalker or something,
right.
But something that would, but that's not typical to see one of them opening up a portal and walking through it. Mm-hmm. Is it?
What you were talking about sounds like a shapeshifter. Mm-hmm. So, a skinwalker would be in lines with that, but would be having a human aspect to it, which the small person did. But I'd be more into a shapeshifter. Yeah. And those can be scary.
It's definitely a shapeshifter of some sort. And here again, okay, so this is this happened right on a roadside. It's like on a roadside, like out in the country, right? That happened. But in the same area, there's multiple Bigfoot. Okay, I actually pulled up while I was talking to this person. I actually got the county and I pulled up the BFRO reports. And I went down. There were two main reports. One of them was right there. Right there, all this happened. And let me tell you what it was. Okay, so the way it was described to me, what they're experiencing, it's Dogmen. Okay, to me, I think it's Dogmen. And like I said, I'm going to go out there and do an investigation. But there was a report, and the person. Okay, one of the reports was clearly a Bigfoot. Okay, the other report that I read was something it sounded exactly like what I saw in Alabama. It was an all-black, bipedal, large creature that looked like a panther. Okay, kind of like a panther, but it was walking on two legs. And so it was almost like the size of a bear, but it looked like a panther, they said. And so that's in the BFRO report there. And I thought, man, and that's similar to what these people are seeing where they live too. Similar to what they're seeing.
Well, could it be a half werewolf and half Dogman?
I don't know, Bruce. Can it? I don't know.
Yeah, I would believe could be. Dogman's got the hands and the muscular front build as a man. Even though most of the ones I've run into have been flesh and blood. I've seen them a couple do supernatural things, but I don't know if I could say positively it was supernatural or just something it adapted and gained the power to do. I just don't know.
Oh man. Well, okay. So this is separate from the shapeshifter, right? The shapeshifter thing, and this was like down the road from where the farm animals are and stuff. And the farm animals are all being affected by whatever these things are out on their farm too. And so, like I said, I do believe there's some Dogman activity. Could be Bigfoot, could be. But from the description, it's
You saying the farm animals are being bothered by it?
yes, yeah,
It does sound like a dog man then.
it does.
Yeah.
It does. Because we get a lot of these reports where people have farms and their cows, their horses, their goats will not go back in the back part of a pasture, right?
Yep.
And it's near the wood line or wherever, but there's just a part where they just will not go there. And they all crowd up in one area near the corral or something. They won't go to certain parts of the pasture.
No,
And
that sounds like a dog man.
it does. Bruce, you're gonna have to come down here and go with me.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to get in on something like that, especially dog men. Bigfoot, they're just not horses. Sometimes will stop on a Bigfoot, but I was trained in man tracker. In man tracking, you use a horse, and the horse will do the tracking for you. If somebody's hidden in the bushes somewhere, a horse will, when you're stopped, a horse will turn and look directly at them. He'll give them away every time. And but with Dogman, a horse will stand and stare at Dogman, where other farm animals will herd up, and meaning they'll hightail it back to the barn or somewhere, and it affects their nervous system. So if your farm animals start acting strange, and you're having that kind of activity, I've had a farmer tell me that a Bigfoot walked up and picked up a 400-pound hog, but the hog wasn't scared of it. A dog man's completely different. They'll run from a dog man.
You know what I think? I think the Bigfoots are zapping them before they grab them, and probably hypnotizing them or something.
Well, the one is this particular man's hog. It was like that movie they come out with. I can't remember the name of it, where the guy's hogs were missing. He goes and sits in a stand that night, and he ends up shooting something, and it winds up being one of his hogs. Well, years ago, there was a farmer who told that, and he got his hogs back. His hogs wouldn't hurt, even though he physically seen this creature, monster he called it, pick up these 400-pound top hogs up on each arm and walk off with them just like they was a pet. And he got them back. They weren't hurt. And then I heard of a guy that put surveillance cameras on his home because him and his father and mother had seen a Bigfoot in their backyard. Well, their cat happened to be out that day, and they got it on video to where the Bigfoot steps out of the bushes and picks up the cat and is holding the cat, and before it walks off, it sets the cat back down.
Huh. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. It's okay. So there could be, in my mind, I'm thinking two things. Like these animals are used to the Bigfoots or whatever creatures are out there. They're used to it, and so they're just chill. Or there's something going on because when we have a lot of intense Bigfoot activity, could be ET activity. I don't know what it is. Bigfoot, we assume it's Bigfoot activity. We're oftentimes just lulled to sleep. We all go to bed. We don't go to sleep. We go to our tents and we don't investigate further. And so that's what I'm thinking they're doing with these animals. What they're doing is they're calming them down. They're doing some kind of Coogee mind trick with them to make them calm. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, I have seen some strange things go on in the woods, and yeah, I mean, they could intermittent a frequency. They could calm you. I know the Bigfoot can do it. The ones I dealt with down on the Cumberland River, when they got close to me, I had a calmness about me when I should have been unnerved. And it's hard to explain, but with a dog man, I'm on high alert and keeping my head about me and looking for ways not to get backed into a corner or to leave, even though they're not aggressive. It's just very unusual to see a massive dog walking on two legs with a man's upper body. So it does with a Bigfoot. It's a Bigfoot. They got different face features and stuff, but it's still a big creature that can weigh 1,000 pounds. But they have a tree frog insect like talk to them, and it's very calming. It's like people that listen to waterfalls and stuff at night to go to sleep. This is very calming. You will get tired. You will sit there and just relax, be just as calm as a cucumber.
Yeah, they got two modes. It's either zap you and make you sick or lull you to sleep. Okay.
Yeah. Of course, you got your Bigfoot that can be. I've not run into maybe one for sure. That probably would put you on the spit and grill you and then eat you. But for the most part, they've all been the ones I deal with. Now, I ain't gonna say if you go up to Northwest Pacific or somewhere like that, one of them wouldn't pick you up and run off with you and kill you. I just don't know. I'm just going by on what I've dealt with and what I know.
Oh yeah, they're all different, just like humans. Okay,
Right.
Good humans, and we got really crappy humans, and some humans that will eat you, just like Bigfoot will eat you. Some of them. Yeah, it is what it is, y'all.
So sometimes a mountain lion will pass right by you. Sometimes he'll eat you for lunch.
Right. Oh yeah, I just saw a Black Panther. I think Tony had put it on his Confessionals podcast. I think he was talking about that. I saw, and there was it was like they call it 4K, 4D. I don't know what they call it, 4K. The high def, like a trail cam of a Black Panther in Tennessee, and I was like, man, I've been seeing videos and pictures of Black Panthers for years. Okay, even though they say they're not around, they're out there, Bruce. And I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, I was in Coker Creek, Tennessee. I lived there for a while, right on the Cherokee. Actually, I lived inside the Cherokee National Forest, and we had an elderly woman there here in her 90s that kept things we kept getting in, tearing her stuff up around the house, meaning her flowers and stuff like that. And she had a company back then to come out and put her up CTV cameras. And she had the best pictures of a Black Panther, one of the biggest ones I've ever seen on a picture, that looked as big as a mountain lion but was jet black. And it was coming in her yard catching wild hogs.
Oh.
See, the hogs were tearing her stuff up, but it was a panther. So the neighbor down the road from her, when I was there and she was showing me the video, he said, "You want me to come back up here and shoot that thing?" She was like, "No, leave it alone. It's catching these wild hogs." And of course, she had 2 or 3 cats in the house, but she was a cat lover anyway. So.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like danged if you do, danged if you don't. It can help you or it can also hurt you. So. Right. Depends on what kind of vermin you need to take care of out there. Or, if you got small pets or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I try to leave all the wildlife alone, of course, but I also have a dog. And if I still lived on a farm, I don't live on a farm anymore. But we had to watch out for our cows back in the day, and even a stray dog would come after the baby calves. And unfortunately, I've watched people on the farm have to, take care of business when a pit bull got out this is horrible. I shouldn't say this, but I was out in the pasture, mauling the calves to death and stuff.
Right.
Horrible. You got to look out for your livestock out there. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah, they get that taste of blood, they'll just kill them to be killing them.
That's right. Unfortunately, yeah, and that's what people. I think that's where people also get that idea that like dogmen are out there doing the same, and so many people are so scared of dogmen because they're afraid they're going to attack. Now, I actually had a really great conversation with this person who I was taking this report from, because they were actually really worried that these things were going to hurt them and their livestock and their family. They got kids and all that out there. And I try to kind of calm the situation down and be like, look, they don't typically hurt you, you know.
If you back them into a corner or something, that's a possibility. Most of the time, they're going to eat deer. If you got any food outside your house, trash cans, maybe you feed a dog outside with dog food, they'll get into stuff like that. But generally, they won't even bother your dog. But they will eat deer. A lot of hunters shoot deer and don't find the deer and stuff, and they're like scavengers. They will hunt deer and find dead deer and eat them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good to have a telepathic communication line with those things, I guess. They're living on your property with you, and they're just like roommates, right? I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Bruce. Do you have them out where you live? Have you ever had like Dogmen and Bigfoot on your actual property where you live, and they were habitating?
Well, I had that one, but I had to run it off because you really don't want them around your house. Because you come out in the morning in a hurry to go grocery store, doctor's office, or something, and you accidentally back them up, so you don't want them around your house. You don't want to corner them with them not a way out, then they can be extremely dangerous. I personally don't want them around my house, meaning up against the house, peeking through the windows and stuff. Now, if they want to go over in the top of the mountain and the next holler over and holler and carry on act a fool, that's fine with me. Just stay out of the yard.
Don't come kicking the dead cow in the belly. Okay,
right.
That's what Larry says. And you ain't say nothing till you see your buddy kick a cow in the belly. That's really sad, but that was actually a funny show. That was a moment. Talking about the possums coming out the rear end. I know my audience remember that. Yeah.
Oh, your farmers can relate to that. They knew when Larry said that, they knew exactly what he was saying because all of us who farmed had that happen.
Oh yeah. Oh man. It's just part of life, y'all. It is. It's part of life, Bruce. Let's see. Max says, Jess and Bruce, werewolves and Bigfoot have as many breeds as human normies. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we just alone on the Dogman chart that we have, there's like 7 or 8 different types of Dogmen out there. I mean, and I know it's different than werewolves, right? But I mean, let's see if I can pull it up. There's a lot of different types. Okay, so I mean, I know the one that I saw looked like more like a panther kind of, or a hyena, panther, bear.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I saw. So
the hyena ones are very uncommon. They're probably the ones I would worry about if I come in face to face with one in the woods. They're a little bit more aggressive, but there's so many different ones out there. You'll have the short snout dogmen, the German shepherd head dogmen, the long snout dogmen, the hairless dogmen, the buckskin dogmen, the deer colored dogmen with a white patch on the front of them. I mean, there's just so many different ones out there that you really have to study it to know what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, there's a lot of different types, and I think it's so wild because when I start talking to people and I'm taking reports, when I'm doing investigations and stuff, and just talking to people about their encounters, a lot of times they'll say, well, what I saw, I just assumed it was a black panther or something, right? And that's where the conversation gets kind of funky, right? Because they're having all this activity, like they're having dogmen and stuff around their property or wherever they've been, wherever we're discussing, right? And then they're like, but it didn't have all the characteristics of a black panther. And now that the things that I've seen, I'm like, well, a lot of people are describing those things as dogmen, so it kind of shifts the perspective a little bit to be like, well, some of these dogmen do look a lot like black panthers. Okay. And stuff.
Yes, they'll have that short, furry hair.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have that's more like a panther. They're down on all fours. They'll have that extremely long tail. They'll have a bushy tail, or they'll have a short inch-and-a-half hair on their tail. You'll have them that are extremely long hair, that are matted.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have them with the sharp pointed ears. You'll have them with the floppy ears. Again, I think there's more types out there than a lot of people think they are.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I think there's a lot of them that are not listed on that chart. Okay, they're not
Exactly.
on that. And so that's why it's good for us to talk about this publicly, in my opinion. And Keiju, what's up, Keiju? It says, does Bruce think cryptids come from another dimension if they're experiments, or do they come from another planet? Or are they original to this planet? I don't know. What do you think, Bruce?
Well, most of the ones I deal with are flesh and blood, so they come from this planet. Now, there are sounds that they can make. Car door slams. They can pop their cheeks to make different sounds. But at the same time, I wouldn't rule out Chewbacca-style Bigfoots coming from other planets. I hear very credible stories on people that would have no reason to lie to you. Very upstanding people in the community who come to you and say, "Hey, I don't want you to repeat this, but this is what I seen. I've seen lights come out of the sky and land in my field. Just humongous light. When it leaves, there stands what looks to be a Bigfoot." So I mean, they'll tell you they're encountering, but they don't want you to talk to nobody else about it. So whether they're interdimensional, dimensional, the ones I deal with, I can only speak for that. What people tell me, I can't speak for that because I didn't witness it myself. Flesh and blood. Now, on Laser Eyes of Dogman, I'm 70% paranormal, but I'm still not 100% paranormal. I'm still at flesh and blood.
Yeah, I just reminds me, I had a weird dream last night, Bruce. I had a dream that I was being chased by a Bigfoot, like a regular Bigfoot, organic, but its mouth was made of metal. And it was like trying to eat me. I'll tell you what, I have weird dreams, okay? But this was weird. In my dream, it was almost like I was being shown cyborg Bigfoots. Like, that's what it was. I was being shown like cyborg Bigfoots in my dream. And this one was
or he might have eaten somebody that had a grill and he decided to use their grill. His teeth might have been bad.
Well, it actually seems like in my dream it was a nice Bigfoot. It was okay, but he couldn't control his mouth. His mouth was being run by something different. Like its mouth was under control. It was being ordered to go attack people and stuff. Yeah. And so I know that's weird. Okay, but I did dream that. So yeah, getting the head of Jessica while she sleeps right there. That's weird. But anyways, I think there is some kind of weird ET. I mean, like I always say, all roads lead back to ET. That's what my team says, my head of my team. And I think there could be some kind of cyborg element to some of these things, and there could be original ones. There could be some that are mixed with alien DNA. We just don't know,
Yeah, I mean, you have leakers out there and then high government officials that the tall whites are in charge of the Dogman soldiers. So there you go, and then you had a classified document that leaked out that said that the whites, the aliens, the tall ones, wanted all the animals killed, but then after talking to our agents and scientists, they don't understand how we can live with them and not catch their diseases and stuff from the animals that could kill us. Because the animals from their planet kills them, so they wiped out all their animals.
They must not have bazookas and stuff. I'm just saying. They're not from the South, then, apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
They ain't eat no mud pies and stuff like we have.
Right. They're not eating crayons and cat food. I know, right? A well-formed militia in the Appalachians over here. But yeah, that's pretty sad. I don't know. Everything in this world can eat us, Bruce. Everything.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's the aliens. That's what they're fascinated about. Is that we coexist with all these other things that can kill us at any time. You know, to them to exterminate every snake, poisonous snake, but we have an ecosystem that everything has its place, and we deal with that.
No offense, but the tall whites sound kind of wussy. Just saying. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm kidding. No disrespect. No disrespect. But yeah, we're just super tough, I guess, as humans. We should all be proud of ourselves, y'all. We should be very proud of ourselves for being tough.
Look what our ancestors had to go through. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Our ancestors were way tougher than we are, actually.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. How many? My granddaddy told me. My great grandfather told me that they walked around barefooted over wintertime when they sold hogs. They get a new pair of shoes, but by the time spring come, they wore the soles out on it. If he stepped on a dime, he could tell you if it was heads or tails. You know.
Oh,
so yeah, they don't. It was a hard life back then.
There's no doubt they had a hard life. But my dad used to tell me he used to walk to school uphill both ways in the snow when he was in high school, and that's not true. Okay. He just wants to think he was that tough, but maybe his great grandfather was. Okay. But
yeah, I've heard that.
My dad, yeah.
My grandfather told me he would walk barefooted to school, 2 feet of snow, swim 2 rivers, climb a ridge, and get there before everybody else, and go out there and bust up the coal with a sledgehammer and a pickaxe, and get the coal stove fired in the schoolhouse and warm by the time everybody got there.
Oh wow! Oh wow! That's, man, I tell you what. Yeah, people have always been pretty tough, and been tougher. Yeah, but
we'll always adapt and survive. We all have that capability, and it's built in us. Sometimes we come down on ourselves and don't think we can do it, but can't never could do nothing is what my grandmother said.
Yes.
So.
Yes, hard times create tough people. We'll say people, and easy times create, I guess, not so tough people, right? So, anyways, we won't get into that conversation tonight. We know where that's going. But anyways, yeah, we've well, our history is not what we've been told too. Okay.
Oh,
we all know that our great grandparents and great grandparents they had it kind of rough, okay, compared to what we have it today. And so, but our history has been kind of covered up. It's kind of been erased. I don't believe everything that I hear anymore. I don't believe everything I read. Even in my 1800s history books I got on my shelf back here, I'm not sure if I believe all of it, some of it, because I just don't know, because we're learning so much about the land. Right. And there's these, oh my gosh, the Pygmies. I wanted to talk about the Pygmies tonight, okay, because that's up in your area where you live at. And I think it's important we talk about this, because we talk about the Dogmen and the Bigfoots being summoned and being basically like guardians of the land and all the sacred land through curses and blessings. And man, what kind of connection do they have to these Pygmies, do you think? Do you think there's any kind of connection? Because I'm going to show some maps tonight of where these Pygmy cemeteries are, and there's a correlation there.
Yes. The Pygmies were another race of people. They're just small people. They coexisted with the Indians. Some of them were DNA checked and had actual Native American blood in them. And the Smithsonian lied to the public when it come to the Pygmies. And that made a lot of early settlers who first started discovering them, and then their ancestors, later farmers running tractors and stuff, who eventually dug them up plowing and stuff. The Smithsonian made liars out of all of them, and it didn't take a good course. But thankfully, I got to see one about 32 years ago. So I've got to see the grave there in White County, just not giving the exact location, 6 miles south of Sparta, Tennessee. Now you see that picture there? The Smithsonian tried to convince people that was an infant. Okay, and it made a lot of them mad back in the early 1920s and 30s. A lot of the farmers mad because they tried to convince them that those were infants up to 2-year-old kids. But if you look at the molars and stuff and all their teeth and these were adults, and they were 20 to 21 inches tall. Every now and then you'd have them a little bit smaller or just a little bit taller. But there you go. There's one. No, that doesn't look like an infant to me. You see the teeth?
No, that's the first thing I noticed. It's got adult teeth in there. Those are
adult teeth, right?
Yeah, those are adult teeth.
When they found them, they were in the 20s and stuff. They were found in the late 1700s. But in the 1920s and 30s, the Smithsonian come in and went on these people's farms where they found them and started taking, instead of taking 4 or 5 to test them, see what they were, they started coming in and taking them by the thousands. And an elderly gentleman showed me, he had several of those graves on his property, and his family never would tell the government or anybody about them. They just wouldn't use that part of the land. And keep in mind, it's limestone rocks. They're about 20 inches long on the sides. They're 12 inches to 19 inches wide on each end. Those are tents there. That's a tent grave. The Pygmies were flat. They were flat boxes made of limestone, and inside that would be a complete skeleton, 16 inches deep, 19 inches wide, 20 to 24 inches long, and it was made of limestone rock, bottom, sides, and top. And when they were taken apart, there's complete skeletons, and there's pottery in one corner with a hand of the skeleton touching the jar of pottery. And so when Smithsonian got a hold of it, they come back and said, no, these were full-grown native Indians, and they were bones were just cut down and stuff and bundled together and pitched in these small graves, which was untrue because the farmers that found them knew better. And by then, when cameras come out, Polaroids come out, excuse me, in the 70s and 80s, there were really good pictures of complete skeletons and these little bitty skeletons inside these boxes. And the farmers just would cover them back up and not tell anybody about them. Just the locals knew about them because they didn't want the government to come back in there. On several occasions when the government come in, meaning the Smithsonian, they would take over these farms for months at a time, and people, had to have their farms to live on and raise their animals and stuff. That's how they eat, sold at market, their tobacco crops, stuff like that. And like I said, they'd just come in and take tens of thousands of them. And then the Smithsonian would come back a year or so later and say, no, they're full-grown Native American Indians. They've just been cut down and tied with leather and dropped in these little boxes, which was totally not true. Now, when you get out west, Western part of the United States, they did do that, but the boxes were bigger. But these full skeletons, as you can see here, that's a full skeleton. Okay, that box is probably 20 inches long, 19 inches wide, and 16 inches deep. That is small. I mean, that's little bitty.
It looks like a full-grown human right there, just looking at it.
Yes.
And, like an adult. It looks like an adult.
Yeah.
That is not a child's skeleton.
Yeah, I believe that particular one was brought out by a farmer in 1986, if I ain't mistaken.
Wow. Now, when I was researching this today, I was looking up, and I kept pulling up pictures of mounds and stuff. Do you think some of these were part of the mound builders at all? I mean, was there a connection there, Bruce?
Yes, but like again, when you get into these bottoms and these flat plateaus, a lot of it that got tore down and turned into farmland.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, man, a lot of it did. Talk about land getting cursed. I'm just saying. Man, even with these pygmy people now, this is really cool to me. This is really interesting because I mean, check this map out. Let's see where I get this map. Now this is weird. Hold on. I have to blow this up so I can read it. Distribution of stone box graves by region. Stone box graves. That's what you were describing, Bruce. That's what they're buried in.
Right. Limestone boxes, yes.
That dips down into North Georgia and North Alabama. Okay, and it goes all the way up to what is that, Indiana and Ohio? I mean, that's prime real estate for all the Mississippian mounds and things like that.
Right.
West Virginia, all the way to Pennsylvania. Missouri. Yep. Look at that. And so the Pygmies, these are civilizations of people, Bruce. Right? I mean,
right.
It's not
so
just
you had the warrior's path that run through there. You bring your other map up you just showed a minute ago, that one?
Yes.
To the right there, the warrior's path goes through there and goes into Kentucky, and then to the left you have Davison County and Sumner County. Well, Davison County was built, Nashville was built on the river bluffs. And then when you get into Sumner County, you get up on the plateau, which is mostly flatland. And so you had those pygmies on the warrior's path, and on the warrior's path there, where all these markers are, of course, you'll see Putnam County completely covered up. You'll see they don't show in the black on Jackson County and Clay County, but Pickett County, Pinterest County, all those counties there this was a super highway for all natives. So you had each section, whether it be 100 yards, a mile, or 5 miles, was controlled by a tribe of some kind. So that was a trade route. And then you had the Pygmies controlled all of White County, but they were scattered all up and down through the warrior's path and even as far back over into Davison County.
Wow. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that actually it goes straight down the middle of Tennessee, the whole entire state from north to south.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's those maps right there are where the graves are. Okay, so I think actually this map is where they were mostly located, and then this I think is where the graves were. Is that right?
Yes, in Sparta, you'll see Sparta there, right there below Putnam County.
Mm-hmm. In
Sparta alone, the Smithsonian took out over 100,000 graves and took the bones.
100,000. Man. Okay, I always thought there was just one. Okay, because I'd heard about this. I actually had somebody contact me and said, "Hey, I will take you to the Pygmy cemetery." And I don't know what happened with that. I must have completely forgotten. I'm so scattered. I forget. So if you're watching this, whoever invited me, please invite me again. I don't know who that was, but they invited me. They're like, you can't tell anybody where this is at because apparently there's some like secret cemeteries that they don't want people to know about.
Right. They don't want the government to know about. So if they let people know about it, the government will find out about it. But you got to keep in mind in that area through there that there were more people that lived back then than there are living there today. So these was massive amounts of people. It's a huge population. So you got in that one county alone a little over 100,000 graves, pygmy graves that were found. Not all of them were disclosed because a lot of the farmers got wise
Ooh.
and started protecting them because the Smithsonian come back and said, well, these were full-grown natives and they were cut down and tied with leather to fit in these little boxes, which is true for out west, but these farmers were the ones that found the boxes, and by plowing fields and stuff, and the lids come off of them, and they knew what they were seeing, a complete skeleton of small people. And they all knew that infants and 2-year-olds didn't have a wisdom teeth like that or grown adult teeth.
Man, well, okay. So, well, this website, I have a couple of different sites I wanted to show the audience tonight. And this is a great one. This guy has a blog and a podcast. It's LyleRussell.net. You guys go to LyleRussell.net. Says he's got Tennessee Ghosts and Legends podcast. Okay, and this is his website. And he's got a pretty good overall history. Now, Bruce, you've already given us a good bit of the history here. But let's see. He says he said that the Tennessee history since the early 1800s. You mentioned the White County, Bruce. Hundreds of graves, hundreds of crop fields, and they call it the Tennessee Pygmy tribe in the spring of 1820 on the shores of Caney Fork River, 5 miles south of Sparta, Tennessee. A local farmer named Turner Lane he uncovered several graves when he was plowing his fields, multiple graves of tiny, intentionally aligned skeletons buried in earthen coffin of limestone, and so he said
that was 1820. 1820.
Mm-hmm. They said they were only about 2.5 to 3 feet tall, and there were hundreds of them. And that's when they found they discovered them. They called them the Tennessee Pygmies. And like you said, you said the graves were 10 inches wide, 18 inches long, lined with blue-hued limestone. It's not from that area. Now, that is weird, Bruce. Where's this blue limestone coming from?
That's coming further down south, and then it's coming further north at the Kentucky-Tennessee line.
Oh, wow. So they had to bring it in. They shipped that in from somewhere.
Right. Up and down that Warrior's Path, they probably found a pretty good rock quarry of it.
Wow. Well, they were full skeletons, and they said, had Turner Lane made a monumental discovery in human evolution, or did he discover a small race of prehistoric humans? These are some of the pictures we've already shown. I mean, that's wow. Just thinking about a civilization of small people like that, that's not something that we learn in our history books, Bruce.
No,
I was never taught that.
No.
Man. Well, of course, there's that controversy. He goes on to say that, of course, they were told the Smithsonian is in charge of changing our history for entertainment purposes only, and so they're going to try to get all this out of there. Are there still some skeletons out there? I mean, I know I was told there's at least one cemetery where there's still skeletons.
There's a lot of private farms that still in the generations of families still own, that have thousands of these grave sites on it, but they're hush mouth about it. They don't want to lose their land, or they don't want their land destroyed from all the excavation, because when the Smithsonian come in there in the early 1900s, they destroyed a lot of farms. So a lot of farms had to be redone.
Oh, man. Talk about eminent domain and stuff. I'll tell you what.
Right.
The government will swoop in and take your land, say they need to put a reservoir there or something. Just saying.
If people are interested in looking for some of the artifacts of these little people, go to the Calf Killer River. They're in White County, and you can float it or use a boat and just glance up and down the banks there. Generally, after heavy rains and stuff, those artifacts will come to the surface.
Okay, I found this is really interesting too, Bruce. It says that in March of 1876, the New York Times ran a lengthy piece about the Pygmies of Tennessee as the answer to the discovery of the Kentucky giant. So there's not only being giant skeletons found in these mounds and stuff, but now we got the Pygmies as well. And it says there was a grouping of giant skeletons over 8 feet discovered in Columbia, Kentucky that same year. The giants were associated with the myths surrounding the ancient mound-building humans on the Ohio River Valley, down the Mississippi Valley. And it said it wasn't long before the Pygmy myths became associated with the mound builders as well, like the Tennessee Pygmy David to a Kentucky giant Goliath. David and Goliath. And that's interesting. They say that in Woodbury and Hillsborough, located in Coffee County, Tennessee, was reported and compared in size of scope to 1820s to find on Mr. Lane's farm in White County. The discovery in Hillsborough was spread over 6 acres filled with up to 100,000 graves of small humans about 3 feet tall. This new mass grave would once again give the public the perception that pygmies were real and perhaps the Smithsonian reports were less than honest. They're lying. 100,000, Bruce.
And 6 acres, yeah. Yeah, that's that's below McMinnville over in Woodbury, Tennessee, which is from Sparta. That would be southwest.
Okay, so this bust is how they describe them as looking. They believe the Homo floresiensis. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. It says that they became extinct 17,000 years ago. But this is what they assume these pygmy people looked like. I find that fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. That is what they claim they look like right there.
But then you have Indian folklore that traded with these.
Mm-hmm.
So
they traded with them. So we had giants and we had pygmies and all sorts of things going on here. Okay, so man, well, at least it's been documented somewhere. And if it weren't for these farmers plowing up these graves, we'd never know about this stuff.
Right. And keep in mind, I'm estimating another 1 million graves that's not been found because the farmers are intentionally not telling about them.
Oh man. I mean, Bruce, I know people that claim to have giant skeletons in their personal collections out of Lovelock, out of the lake and stuff, because they know the Smithsonian would come and take them. They never be seen. Yeah, I've been assured that there are some in private collections.
Yep.
Which is a good thing.
Yep.
In my opinion. For entertainment purposes only. I cannot confirm nor deny though, because I don't know. I've never seen it. Okay, so don't come knocking on my door, anybody. Okay.
I've seen one pygmy grave where the farmer, he actually slid the top back so I could look at it. It did have an urn at the top right-hand side, and the hand or arm of the skeleton touched the urn, and he showed me 6 others sites, and they're all within a foot of each other. And I asked him not to uncover the rest of them because I've seen that one, and that was enough to convince me that it was a complete skeleton, because you could see the feet, the arms, the rib cage, the bone, the hip bones, everything was there, and nothing was cut, downsized. I looked at all that. I done the measurements on the limestone, and it's bluish. Now, they did have a quarry on the Warrior's Path. They were getting some of these rocks, but at the same time, the minerals in certain areas, after these rocks were cut for these graves, turned bluish. Now, they don't know if that was what was in those little vases that were at the top of their heads, but they were, artifacts in that also, along with some type of dye.
Whoa. How interesting. That's cool that you've gotten to see one. Yeah. That's really cool. Do you think that would be a bad thing to have something like that? Like if somebody had a skeleton of a pygmy, like a a casket, whatever they were in, and they put it in their barn or something. Is that just asking for a curse on your land right there? What would happen?
I wouldn't think so, because a lot of those farmers, after the Smithsonian and the government done them that way, what ones that were took up, that were exposed, that you could see, they did move them and hide them in places. And some places were in barn stalls, where they dig holes in the barn stalls and stack them in there and cover them back up.
Ooh, okay. Robert says, hey, Robert, says Knob Creek, Salina, Tennessee, River Bluff cave. Giant's bones were removed from the cave overlooking Cumberland River. Now,
Yes.
this is the North Cumberland area. Am I correct? Is that like where this is at?
Yeah, that's Salina, Tennessee, Clay County. Yes, it was took out. It was took out of the river bank there at the forks of the river of OB River in Cumberland County, in Cumberland River.
Mhm.
Yes, he's correct on that.
Very cool. Man, I love learning geography and stuff too. Larry said, this is true, Larry. Larry says the Smithsonian probably sold the skeletons to private collectors and destroyed most of them. Yeah. Probably made a pretty penny off those if they did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a shame.
Well, so a lot of those farmers back then, allowed them to take so many, but then they ended up taking them all, that was uncovered. And so they made sure other farmers learned a lesson, made sure not to even let the government know about them. And so they try to keep the land secret and respect them. So a lot of them had changed their pasture lands and stuff like that. Once they run into them, they will fence the areas off. Because you're talking about, it doesn't take 100 acres. 100 acres of land would hold several thousands and thousands of these. So if you fenced off your 700-800 acres, you get up in White County, the ground's just flat as a tabletop till you get to the south of Sparta. Then you get into a little bit more hillier, bluffier type.
So these graves were all marked? Or no, because they weren't marked, because he didn't know until he plowed them up, so they weren't marked. Are some of them marked though? Because when you look it up online, they show like actual cemeteries with markers on them, but that's not the Pygmies.
That's not the Pygmies. The farmers marked them by memory alone. They knew the areas they were at. These are flat boxes, narrow boxes with a flat lid. Now up here, when you get up in here, the settlers up here done the what we call the honeycomb style, which is rocks at a V to cover the grave sites.
Oh man, that's cool. Okay, well that makes more sense actually. And wow, I wonder how many civilizations have been here that are underneath those. You know what I mean? Just layers upon layers of different types of people.
Right.
Man.
And then you got the eastern band of Cherokee just got one of their mounds back, but it's like 18 feet shorter than it originally was because it was excavated so many times.
Wow.
It's sad because they took layers and layers of Indians and artifacts out of it to where it's just a few feet tall now, when it was 18 feet tall with a lodge sitting on the very top of it.
Wow, man, it's a shame we're losing all of our history, and it's all getting covered up. I mean, even these man-made lakes. That's one of the things I've been talking about. A lot of these man-made lakes that have been put in through eminent domain as well. Getting everybody kicked out of their land and stuff. And I mean, that's what I stand on my soapbox with that. I think that they're taking this land because it does hold secrets of our true history, and they want to cover that up.
Yep.
Yeah. Put a lake over it. What is an easier way to cover up our true history than to put water over it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this right here, and for the audience, in case you guys want to know, this is a PDF. You can go download this. Go to www.academia.edu, look up Tennessee Ancient Pygmy Graveyards, the Wonder of the Western Country. And they got PDFs of these articles that you can download with pictures and all of that on the Tennessee Pygmies, if you guys are interested in this. And other articles that actually go with this topic right here. This is a great resource if you guys want to look into this. That actually goes back to even the paleo botanical remains of the Native American sites in the Upper Cumberland Plateau. I mean, they talk about all the caves and even the pictures that are, with the artwork and they're inside the caves and things like that. And it's just fascinating. Okay, they even get into Gulliver's Travels and stuff. Like how some of these things were depicted in some of the old literature back in the day.
Right, and it shows him in his drawing there interacting with the pygmies.
So maybe we're the giants. I don't know. I'm getting confused now. I'm thinking, man, we're actually the giants, Bruce.
Right. Yep.
But there were people a lot bigger than us back then.
Oh yeah.
Man, also it's also depicted in what is that? Rip Van Winkle up in the Catskill Mountains as well, where Rip Van Winkle got in a fight with his wife, walked up into the mountains to take a break, and ran into some pygmies. And they had some beer, and he drank it, and he woke up 80 years later.
Yeah.
That was some good. It's talking about moonshine in Kentucky. Yeah. I don't know. That was some strong stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so these are some of the same pictures that we showed earlier, but this is an explanation here. It's
a good read, and if you even want to Google it, Google the pygmies of White County, Tennessee, and then it'll give you a start there, and as you read, it keeps going, and as you read more and more into it, then you'll realize where the Smithsonian, you can catch them in their lie. And that path right there is the one that I research heavy. That's the Warrior's Path.
Now, Bruce, we talk about the Warrior's Path. Is this where you've had your Dogman encounters?
Yes.
Is this where you saw your baby Dogman?
Say that again.
Is that where you saw the Dogman pup?
Oh yeah, I saw it right up here. You'll see it close to the top, Pickett, Fentress County, right there. Because right to the right of those of that black mark there at Pickett County, there's cave systems there, and that's where I found it.
Pickett.
Pickett's right up here, and then you got Fentress, and then right in here is Putnam County. I've run into a lot of my Bigfoot counters in Putnam County, Overton County, over here in Jackson County. You get into Pickett and Fentress. Cumberland County is another good county. You get over here towards Macon County, Jackson County. You get into a lot of your Bigfoot encounters there.
Wow. Well, I'll be okay. Well, that's where in relation to this is Whitleyville, where I did my investigation with that. Okay. There. Is it it's over to the left, correct? Of like the black. I don't remember.
Yeah, if you'll go the top of the mount and count 1, 2, 3 down, that'll be, and then go over one white spot right there, and you'll see it says Jackson County.
Oh, I see it. Jackson County, right by that circle. It looks kind of like a circle. Okay.
Yep. But that's actually in the Warrior's Path. I don't know why they didn't mark it, but Jackson County is part of the Warrior's Path.
Okay. Okay. Well, cool. Okay. Well, and so for the audience, you're not familiar with this. This is where we did that Skinwalker Cave investigation about 3 years ago, 4 years ago? It's been a long time. But where we had that really wild stuff that went down out there. And so Bruce, that is your stomping grounds.
Right.
And that's something that you and I had in common when we first met.
Right.
I have researched that area, and you are from there, and did some You used to work out there, right? When you were in law enforcement?
Yep, that was one of my stomping areas. Yep.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, baby. And so this is, but these are the pictures that they show. These are the pygmy graves. But would that be something that they put as a marker after the fact,
Let's
or
see
is that
what you
even
got
marker?
here.
It's one of
No,
those
that's
teepees.
that's not a pygmy grave. That's a tent grave. That's Smithsonian trying to throw you off. That's a tent grave. That's a early uh, uh, farmer's grave, probably 1800s, early 1900s. They made those tent graves like that to keep animals from digging you up.
A slab. Just get a slab.
Yeah.
Double slabs. It's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, well they're it seems like they're being advertised online as like this is what the pygmy graves are. That way you go to check those out.
Right.
Instead of
Right.
looking for the real stuff.
Right.
Okay.
Keep in mind your pygmy graves are not going to be but about 21 inches long. So if you look at that, you're looking at probably 6 foot, 7 foot.
Mm-hmm.
And your pygmy graves are going to be 21 inches, 22 inches. They're going to be 19 inches wide, and they're going to only be 16 inches deep. So it's a little box, but it's got a flat top on it, flat sides, and a flat bottom in it.
Wow. All right. Well, so we're told that this is just all mythological, made up stuff, and those were just the graves of children. But my God, if there were 100,000 children buried out there, that's a lot of kids. Why would all those kids be dead if they were children? Where are the parents?
Right, and then why would all of them have adult teeth?
Exactly. I don't buy it. Okay. Those are pygmies. Okay.
Yep.
They're pygmies. That is so cool. Man, I think it's incredible to talk about this. It's not something I hear about very often. I don't ever hear anybody talking about the pygmies of Tennessee. I really don't. I haven't heard anybody talk about it.
A friend of mine named Daniel Cahoon, who has a mystical journey, he cannot drive through there. He has a anxiety attack. It messes with him bad because when you get out there, when you get right south of Sparta and you go west, the air is so heavy where all these graves are that it can actually affect your breathing.
Mm-hmm.
There's different smells, you know.
It's the energetics of the place.
Right.
Me.
He has when he goes through there, he has time lapses, extreme breathing problems. He even, I don't know what he did, but it drove his truck for him. I'll put it that way.
Oh no.
Right.
That's really kind of sad, but it's also fascinating to me that any kind of place that has that kind of an effect on a person's body.
Yeah, that kind of power.
Yeah, that's got kind of power. Now, I wonder if it sits on ley lines and stuff too out there. Let's look.
I really hadn't looked into it because.
Look right now. Here we go. Let me look. These are some of the main ley lines. There's more ley lines, of course. But well, it looks like. Let's see. There's a ley line, a bit main one that goes through Nashville. Okay, like towards Nashville and through the state that way. So, could be.
Yeah, because some of the pygmies were also found in Nashville, and Sumner County, right above Nashville. So,
there's, like I said, there's more ley lines out there. Okay, they're small. Those are some of the main ones, and it does go through there, close by. So I don't know. That would be an interesting place to go ghost hunting, Bruce.
Yes.
Get the SLS camera out.
Yep. Go at night.
Tesla.
Go around that crooked road between Woodbury and Sparta. It's really crooked, going up and down mountains and through hollers. It'd be the perfect place. That's where everybody has panic attacks, lose their breath, stuff happens. for their vehicles. I mean, there's all kinds of high energy, high strangeness there.
Wow. I just saw a comment from Leah. Thank you, Leah. She was talking about petroglyphs in Utah showing similarities in Egyptian figures and blemmies and things like that. And that's what I've been thinking about that while we're talking tonight, are maybe the connections, if there are any, to these Egyptian settlements and stuff too. I mean, is this a whole different, it's probably a whole different time period, whole different era. But there have been, some people do theorize that ancient Egypt is actually right here in the south, the original Egypt, I guess, with the pyramids, and the Mississippi is actually the Nile and all that. I wonder if there's any kind of connections there.
Well, that's a really good possibility, because if you follow the Bible and get into the ancient Bibles, it leads to America. So it's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're unraveling mysteries, one little person encrypted at a time over here. So
the Appalachian Mountains were here during the Egyptian times. So yes, they could very well be.
It could be. And Colleen has a good point too. Colleen says, "Hey, Colleen," she says, "little people are still around. One came to talk to my brother at my grandma's house on the res."
Yep.
We hear about those often. Well, we talked about pugquudgies before and stuff, and I know that's different. I think that's different than just the little people or the pygmies, because pygmies are not like pugquudgies. They're like little humans.
Right. Pygmies are little humans. Pugwudgies are little humans, but can be practice I call witchcraft or supernatural things.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. Well, I mean, the Cherokee had legends of this.
Yes.
Yes. The Cherokee little people. Do you think the little people could have been the pygmies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the DNA that was done in 2003 shows Cherokee DNA in the pygmies.
Mm-hmm. Whoa, that's interesting. That's really interesting. What is the connection also, if there's one, to the moon-eyed people?
The moon-eyed people of the mountain range of Appalachia. Hey, it could very well be. I mean, they could be one of the same. The early settlers and the farmers named these things pygmies in White County and in these other counties, and they could very well have been the moon-eyed people. But the argument on that is the skull eye sockets are made the same as the human average human eye socket, even though they're tiny. Some of these pygmy skulls is only 3 inches around.
They're tiny. Okay, well, I also wanted to point out as well, we showed this map, and the graveyards are specifically pinpointed to Tennessee. Okay, but this map that they're showing, they inhabited all of this area right here, and that goes all the way up to Pennsylvania, over to Missouri, down to Alabama and Georgia. And I do know when I did a show on the Alabama dragon. Okay, there's a dragon. I believe that I've seen a petrified dragon in Alabama. I was shown it by a person. We were on an investigation out there, a Dogman investigation actually. And so when we went there, I started doing some research on dragons in Alabama, and I started learning about a Welsh prince. I believe he was a prince. He was definitely an explorer, but he's from Wales, and he came over to the New World over here, and he, by way of South Alabama, what Alabama is today, wasn't Alabama back then, okay, but we're like Gulf Shores area, okay, and he landed there in the Atlantic, and he took a tour like up through Alabama, and on his crest, like he had dragons and stuff. And so I was making the connection of like the dragons, but more importantly, was that in his diaries, he talks about meeting a civilization of dwarfs or like pygmies.
Right.
And that's where Alabama is today. And so I'm thinking that he met the pygmy race, and here we go. It actually does go down into Alabama. I mean, that looks like it goes kind of deep into Alabama.
And if you look at that and you study your soil types, most of that they're showing right there is red clay.
Yeah.
So that's unusual too.
Oh yeah. Or nothing but clay down here in Georgia.
Yeah. See, when you get into when you leave Putnam County and go into White County, which is farthest 15 miles from me, which is in White County, it turns into red clay, and it stays like that all the way through into Alabama, Georgia, and places. So that's another thing. And then when you get over to Davidson County, on the bluffs there where they were found, there was a lot of red clay found there. And then when you go north into Sumner County and get around the Westmoreland, Macon County line of Sumner County, you run into more red clay. So there's something to do with this red clay that I think attracts them or their way of life.
Yeah, there must be some kind of a connection there. I don't know, but it's also right in the middle of where all these mounds and stuff are too. I mean, honestly, at that very top area of Georgia where it's on the map, that's where the ancient Mayan ruins are up at Track Rock Gap. It's like right in there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so not to say it was. I mean, they call it Mayan ruins, but I mean, could have been. I don't know. Could have been some pygmy. Could have been some like little pygmy houses and stuff out there too.
Right.
We just didn't know what to look for. So, yeah, it's more stuff to look for now out in the.
Could you imagine all these cave systems that's too small for us to crawl through, but if we was that size, we could run through there?
Man, oh yeah.
What you could find back in there, it'd be unreal.
It would be. It would be. But just like a lot of people in the chat are saying, even Jean, she says, "Hey Jean," she said they have little folk everywhere. England has talked about them and fairies. And
yep.
And I think
the famous leprechaun, you know.
Which one? The Crichton leprechaun out of Alabama?
Yeah.
He might be a crackhead. I'm just kidding. That's one of my favorite leprechauns. Okay, just so y'all know. But yeah, they're still seen all over the place. Okay, so we might know their origins now, y'all. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not.
Hawaii has them too.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not talked about by scientifically, or I don't know if you could even Google them and pull them up, but they have the little people too.
They have them in Africa as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to see if I can pull some up. Pygmy people all over the world. Let's see. Let me share my screen, I guess. Let's just go ahead and do this. This is cool. I like to research while we're live on air. Why not? Why not? We're all learning together. Okay, the Pygmy peoples. Wikipedia. Let's see if this will come up. Well, this is modern day right now. Now, this is not. It's called Pygmyism, I guess, right here. But actually, if you go, gosh, there's one guy that travels all over the world. I can't remember. I follow him on Instagram. Good Lord, I can't remember what his name is. But he's been showing. He goes to like Indonesia and places like India and Asia, and he's found all sorts of Pygmy settlements, like little civilizations and castles and like things where they lived. And I'm talking about even smaller than these things that we're talking about today. These pygmies.
Right.
So, yeah, I have a feeling that if we look it up like on Wikipedia, it's going to be modern day pygmies out of the Congo and things like that. Okay, I'm looking for other types from back in the day. Okay, well, I'll have to do some research later on all this because they're just going to talk about. Of course, these are not supposed to be real, right? These are supposed to be children's bones.
Right.
Hundreds of thousands of children's skeletons in Tennessee in mass graves, basically. So,
Right.
yeah.
They're side by side in these little rock limestone boxes, but they've got a 30-year-old adult molars, everything. So,
Oh, man. The I can't ever pronounce this right. The Menahune. Is that how you pronounce that? Menahune built the Hayu Temple and walls in Hawaii. That's right. The little people in Hawaii.
yep.
There's that. Yeah. That's fantastic. I am so sorry, Mad Paxmas. I missed your super sticker earlier tonight. I wanted to thank you. Said show Jessica some love, hitting the like button, subscribing, leaving a comment, and sharing with friends and family. Thank you, Mad Pax. You're the best. I appreciate you so much for your support. That was very sweet of you, and I'm sorry I missed that earlier. I'm sorry. I get so busy, Bruce. I miss everything.
Yeah.
I do my best. I do my best, y'all. Keep up with the chat.
Well, sometimes we get so entangled in the conversation we just forget we've got viewers out there sometimes.
Well, I love interacting with the audience, but we also, man, I get enthralled. I get into this stuff, and it's just fascinating. So occasionally it's over, try to find out what's going on.
But you've got a great chat, one of the best chats that there is out there.
Yes, I do. I am so proud of my chat room, man. I just love everybody in here. We have the best chats and a wonderful audience. Everybody that sticks with us throughout all the shows and stuff, and the moderators are top notch. And I'm so appreciative of everybody for being here. And I saw Stargazer asking, bringing up the fact about clothes and furs and stuff. I wonder what they dress like. Do they have like, how advanced were these pygmies, Bruce?
I really don't know, because the one that I seen, of course, it was a skeleton inside the box in the ground, and the only thing I seen was like a clay base. So, I mean, if it had clothes or anything, they probably were gone years ago. You know, I don't know if they wore animal skins or run around naked. I just don't know. I've never heard anybody finding any type of animal skins in their graves.
Man, yeah, we've only heard about the pottery in the grave. That's it. So it's just skeletons. So like no jewelry and stuff like that, because a lot of times, gold, silver, things like that. Any kind of there's been none of that found, I guess. Not before.
If there was, somebody took it and didn't tell about it.
Oh yeah, grave robbers and stuff.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know. It sounds like this in such a rural area. The ones that were found were on farmland and stuff.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying they may not have been looted, because I mean, as soon as people find out about this stuff, they will go loot. Back then, always. So I don't know. Who knows? We'll never know. We'll never know. Mm-hmm. And Max says, as above, so below, giants versus pygmies. They did say David versus Goliath, right?
Right.
David are the pygmies, Goliath are the giants. What if they did live side by side, Bruce? That would be interesting. If they lived like the same time periods.
I would tend to believe they did.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're finding them in mounds and cave systems, and they're dating back to about basically the same times in history. It seems like the giants may have left quicker than the pygmies did.
Mm-hmm.
Or did they interact with the Indians and stuff like that, and just over time that their full breed may have been mixed in. Yeah. I mean, the gene pool.
I'm thinking there could have been like, also, if there's so many of these graves, like mass graves, they're talking about 100,000. What if there was like some kind of a genocide, like, I don't know, like they were just wiped out at some point for some reason,
Yeah.
Or, I don't know.
It's wild, but no, it'd be hard to say. I wouldn't think they would have been a mass genocide because of how the graves were made and put together.
Nice and neat.
Right.
Yeah. Just a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Oh, and these days, like everybody's getting cremated now. Okay, so like most people that I know, this is wild though too, Bruce. The majority of people that I know that have died, I've known a lot of people that died. They're not being buried in the cemetery. Like my family's still getting buried in the cemeteries. On one side of my family, the other family's all been cremated.
Right.
And so we're not going to have remains for the next generations. Not everybody's getting buried anymore, you know. So it's interesting that we've got all these bones from back then.
And then it makes you wonder when you think about that. Could possibly millions of people back then been burnt too?
Yeah, probably so.
You know?
I know. Much to ponder on with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Miss Verby, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you. I love my t-shirt and stuff that you sent me. Thank you so much, Miss V. Burton. You're so sweet. And she says, do the little people wear clothes? That's what I was wondering. That is what I was wondering. So it didn't seem as though they had clothes, but they're so old. That bust that we were looking at said 17,000 years ago was when they lived. So there would be no trace of clothing, probably. Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been a pretty fantastic show tonight, Bruce. I have thoroughly enjoyed this one.
Well, I have too. I wanted to make a couple jokes, but I'll wait to the end.
Just go ahead. Make a joke. What's the joke?
You need bond money?
No, I'm already out. Look,
you need commissary money?
It's between being a hunter and being out on bonds right now. Okay, so I don't know with my orange. Escaping jail today. I know.
I've got those orange shirts too. I like them.
I like orange. You know what I'm saying? It's a good color. I don't wear it often though. Listen, I don't want the cops to tackle me at Walmart. Okay, but Bruce, I'm gonna get you. I'm just kidding. That's why I went ahead and cracked a joke about it at the beginning of the show tonight. Okay, that's why I cracked the joke. I'm a huntress, not a parolee. Okay, not yet, at least. But anyways.
You're wearing your 500 square inches of legal orange out in the field hunting.
Oh my gosh. Jean's got a question. Jessica, would they have been buried at the same time, or was that burial ground old with many generations in it? And that's what I was just talking with Bruce about, because I was thinking, like, could it have all been at once? But you said they were individual graves, nice and neat.
Right.
Yeah.
So over many, many years. Yes.
Yeah. So over many years, and there's so many of them, Bruce. How many of these graves are there? I mean, like, how many cemeteries, if they go all the way down the state? I mean, from north to south, I mean, how many miles of that? I drive through Tennessee all the time now, from south to north to south. That's the longest stint of my drive, going to Kentucky. It's a pretty good ways. I mean,
over 100
that way.
Over 100,000 in one area in White County. So, wow, it could be in the millions.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, this is something everybody should be looking into now. Okay. And maybe not trying to go hunt down these graves and stuff. I don't know. Like I said, somebody did contact me a while back and invited me to come to see a Pygmy graveyard. And I don't know where, when, or who that was. So I missed out on that one. So if you're watching this, whoever you were, please contact me again. And
make sure it's not the tent ones. The tent ones are, they're not the real ones.
So
those are early settlers and farmers. Those were probably late 1700s to mid 1800s.
Well, I mean, when you look them up, this is what you see. These are the examples they give you right here.
Yeah.
So that's not it. Would those be like children's graves, you think?
Yeah, the little bitty ones like that would be children's graves, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the pygmies will be flat rocks. You won't know That's the reason why the farmers hit so many of them plowing and stuff, because there's no markers. It's just a square box in the ground, and it's a small square box made with these limestone rocks, slabs.
With a little bit of blue tint to them, like a blue hue, they say. Okay.
Yeah.
Blue. Somebody, for whatever reason, this kept coming up too in my searches. Now, I don't think these things had elongated skulls, did they, Bruce?
No, that was probably Indonesia right there.
Okay. So maybe some international pygmies had elongated skulls.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. That would make sense. Okay. But not these ones. These are the actual skulls right here. This is one of the actual skulls of the pygmies, Tennessee.
Yep.
Okay. Next to a human skull. Okay. I wonder if that's where they got the idea for Keebler elves, too. I don't know. I like those cookies.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, good. My son does too. Oh man. Well, gosh, I tell you what, I learned a lot today. I always learn a lot, and I'm glad we took a deep dive into these pygmies, because this is something I've never really taken a deep dive into before, and it's right there in the heart of where you live, Bruce.
Yep.
There.
Yep.
And right where we do research. Both of
Sure is.
Mm-hmm.
This is a strange place, but it's where I call home, and I love it, and I get to stay in the heart of it and do my cryptid research, and I ain't got to drive for days or hours to do it.
No, it's right in your backyard. Right in your backyard. Well, hey, next time I come up there and I go to Whitleyville, you're gonna have to go with me. We'll go find these pygmies. Okay.
All right.
All right. Yep. We're making some plans. Okay.
All right. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it gives you like health issues. I'm not so sure about this, but I'm still game to do it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think they'll give you health issues. I'll go to Sparta and talk to some farmers and I'll get us lined up to where the farmers will let us come in there without. They probably won't let us use camera equipment or nothing, but you'll get a first-hand view of it.
Okay. That would be great. That would be great. Oh my gosh. I wonder if they have ghosts. I wonder if the pygmies have ghosts and stuff. I wasn't kidding about the ghost hunting up there. In that cave, we did have some little people in that cave in Whitleyville on the SLS camera.
Well, everybody says, between Woodbury and Sparta, White County, that there's a certain stretch of road there that a lot of little people and ghosts form. So that's a very, very good possibility.
Little people in ghost form, y'all. Okay. Yeah, I was wondering that there was a giant and two little people that came out of that cave while we were in there on the SLS camera. Okay, so very well could be the pygmies of Tennessee.
Right.
Okay. Oh man. Well, this is freaking fantastic, man. Fantastic stuff. And so yeah, I'm gonna add this to the list of things to look out for out in the woods. And of course, with our Appalachian werewolf families out there as well. Don't come at me, werewolf families. Don't do it. Okay. Please don't. Please don't. But we're not trying to expose you. Okay. But we're just trying to get to the bottom of the history of all that, especially out of the land between the lakes and in Kentucky and stuff. So, but yeah, well, Bruce, I'm going to keep y'all posted on some of my investigations that I'm going to be doing.
Yes.
I'm going to be taking some time off in the next couple of weeks. Not time off from the shows. I'm going to be here at the shows. I've got some fantastic guests lined up for the next couple of weeks. And so we're not missing a single show, but I'm going to be out investigating in the field a good bit the next couple of weeks. So if I'm permitted, if they allow me to talk about it, I will. With some of our findings out there. Okay. But yeah, stay tuned, because we do have it sounds like a little person out there not too far from where I live.
It could be the pygmy, because you're in that area.
It could be. We are definitely in that area.
Yeah.
And so, and there was almost like a portal involved too. So we're talking about maybe time traveling, interdimensional. I don't know, Bruce. It's all freaking weird. Okay. Yeah. It's weird. But anyways, all right. Well, Bruce, thank you so much for being here tonight. I just so appreciate it.
Oh,
Man,
I thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. Chat's great and show's great, and we'll do it again.
we will. Well. In the meanwhile, tell everybody where they can find you over on YouTube.
You can find me at Daryl Denton's group, Bigfoot Believers and Other Creatures. You can catch me on the Cryptid Wrangler podcast every Friday night at 5 Pacific would be 7 Central. Or you can catch me on the Cryptid Huntress as a moderator and sometimes as a co-host or a guest. You'll catch me here.
Oh yeah, more often than not, over here on the Cryptid Hunters channel.
Yep.
Thanks so much, Bruce. Man, I tell you. Okay, well, this will not be the last time. I promise. Okay, this will not be the last time. Okay, well, Bruce, please stay safe out there, Bruce, and keep me posted on any kind of weirdness and high strangeness you got going on up there, and I'll keep you posted on what I got going down here in Georgia. Maybe we'll link up. Okay.
Yeah, that works. Well, you be safe. You be safe on those investigations. Everybody have a good night and a blessed night.
I'm going to try my best, Bruce. I want to thank Mad Paximus so much. Thank you for that super sticker. I appreciate your support, Mad Pax. And yeah, y'all please stay safe out there and keep your head on a swivel, y'all. I know we live in really strange times right now, but don't live in fear about anything. And take life by the reins and have fun. You know, go out and do something that scares the hell out of you at least once a week or once a year at least. Okay. And other than that, y'all come back and see me. I'll be back on Monday with another fantastic show. Next Saturday night, we've got Mike Smith coming on the show out of the LBL. Speaking of the LBL, and he has generations of his family that have grown up and lived in the LBL, and we're going to talk about some of his own Dogman, reptilian encounters, all that out the LBL next Saturday night. So y'all come back and see me. All right. Well, Bruce, thanks again for being here. Y'all have a wonderful night, and I'll see y'all on the flip side. All right.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.